Part 1. Deal with it. My name is Danielle Hayes, and I'm 27. The night my boyfriend said, I can't be with someone who has no future, I didn't cry, shout, or ask him to stay. I simply turned off the stove, placed the spoon on a folded dish towel, and let silence fill the apartment like floodwater. Ryan stood in the doorway with his arms crossed, that same expression he used when he thought he was teaching me something. Behind him, his overnight bag was already zipped. He'd planned this. Come on, Danny, say something, he pushed. What would you like me to say? Anything that proves you care, that you'll try. His voice cracked on the last word, irritation disguised as disappointment. I used to think Ryan was ambitious. He worked in sales, loved competition, loved winning. But lately, he'd started comparing our lives like we were items on a spreadsheet. His sister's husband had just been promoted to VP. His friend's startup had gone viral. And then there was me, still doing data entry, same job for 3 years, no LinkedIn announcements to brag about. You're comfortable, Danielle, too comfortable. You just stay in place. Maybe I like stability. That's just another word for stuck. He said it like he was saving me, like I should thank him for identifying the defect. I wanted to tell him about the email waiting in my drafts. Senior systems analyst, London office, $95,000 starting salary. I'd been sitting on it for a week, waiting for the right time to share. But looking at him now, I realized something sharp. The man in front of me didn't want me to grow. He wanted proof that he'd been right about me all along. So I said softly, okay. Ryan blinked. Okay, what? Okay, you're right. I'm not enough for you. He searched my face for the collapse that never came. When he didn't find it, he exhaled in frustration, grabbed his bag, and muttered, I'll get the rest of my stuff this weekend. The door closed behind him. For a while, the only sound was the ticking of the kitchen clock and the faint hiss from the still warm burner. I finished making dinner anyway, because grief shouldn't make you starve. I plated the food, ate in silence, and stared at the space across from me where Ryan used to sit scrolling through his phone. Then I opened my laptop. The subject line of the draft email glowed like a pulse. Offer acceptance. London Systems Team. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I read his words again in my mind. You have no future. No future. A strange calm settled in my chest. Not rage, not heartbreak, just clarity. I hit send. Then I blocked him on everything. Phone, email, socials. Not out of spite, out of self-defense. I didn't need his voice echoing in my head while I packed the life he'd underestimated. By midnight, the apartment looked cleaner than it had in months. His framed diploma was gone, his sneakers no longer by the door. The space felt honest again. I stood by the window, watching the streetlights smear gold across the glass. Somewhere, a siren wailed, brief and distant. People talk about breakups like explosions, messy, loud, final. But sometimes they sound like clicking send, and realizing the silence afterward isn't empty, it's opportunity. As I turned off the lights, I whispered to the dark, Guess I'll go build my future without you. Part 2. The Meltdown. 2 weeks after Ryan walked out, my life had become a spreadsheet of clean lines and forward motion. Resignation letter, sent. Visa paperwork, approved. Apartment lease, terminated. Future, loading. Meanwhile, Ryan's unraveling arrived exactly on schedule. Day 3 post-breakup, he texted from a new number. Ryan, we need to discuss apartment stuff. Stop being petty with the blocking. I ignored it. The lease was in my name only. His things, boxed, labeled, taped shut, were stacked neatly by the door. The woman with no initiative had apparently found enough of it to organize his entire exit. Day 5, he showed up in person. I watched from the peephole as he stood in the hallway beside his sister Emma, both looking irritated. You're not even going to open the door? Emma called. Everything's packed, I said through the door. You can check if you want. Real mature, Danny, Ryan snapped. You're acting like a child. Children throw tantrums, Ryan. I'm just finished. He muttered something about how I'd regret this and carried the boxes down the hall. The slam of the elevator doors felt like punctuation. After that, I focused on preparation. Visa documents, travel insurance, medical clearances. I told almost no one, only a few close friends who needed to know. Still, news leaks in modern life faster than gas. Day 10, I got an email from him, my work email, the only one he still had. Subject, please don't do something stupid. Danielle, I heard you quit your job. I know the breakup was hard, but please don't throw your career away because of this. If you need help finding new work, I can ask around. Despite everything, I still care about your well-being. I reread it 3 times, half in disbelief, half in amusement. The man who accused me of lacking ambition now thought I'd fallen apart without him. I didn't reply. 2 days later, my friend Carlos spilled the secret at a bar. "Can't believe you're moving, Danny. London's gonna love you." Mutual friends overheard. Within 48 hours, Ryan knew. By Sunday, my phone buzzed nonstop. Jane, a mutual friend, texting in bursts. "Ryan's freaking out. Says you're making a huge mistake." Did he say why? Something about not giving your relationship a chance. According to him, I had no future. "Danny, relax. I found one." That night, Priya, my desk neighbor at work, leaned over and whispered, "Your ex messaged me on LinkedIn." "Excuse me?" "Yeah, asked if you were really moving to London." Weird energy. I didn't answer. We both laughed, but I felt a flicker of unease. His desperation wasn't romantic, it was performative. The kind of panic that only surfaces when control slips through your fingers. By the end of week 2, my team threw me a quiet farewell dinner. Tapas, champagne, toasts that made my throat ache. They posted a few photos online. "Going to miss this legend. London's gain is our loss." That's how Ryan found proof. The meltdown that followed was operatic. He messaged my friends, coworkers, anyone remotely connected to me. Then came the texts from new numbers, each more frantic than the last. "You were interviewing for months and didn't tell me? We could have planned this together. I supported you for 4 years, and this is how you repay me." Revisionist history at its finest. I didn't reply to those either. But his last act of theater arrived in person. Thursday afternoon, I was boxing up the last of my belongings when someone pounded on the door. "Danielle, open up. We need to talk." I froze, then calmly. "No, we don't. You can't just leave the country without telling me. Watch me." The doorknob rattled. "I have a right to know." 4 years, Ryan. You ended those 4 years, remember? I was trying to motivate you. And look at that. You succeeded. There was a long silence, then a soft, pathetic please. "Just 5 minutes. I deserve that much." I almost laughed. "You deserved a girlfriend with ambition. Now you're free to find one." Building security escorted him out. He left shouting something about how I'd changed. Maybe I had. Later that night, my feed lit up with vague posts from him, quotes about betrayal, success, and people who hide their achievements to hurt others. His mother commented, "You okay, sweetie?" He replied, "Just processing disappointment." It was theater, and I had front row seats. I closed my laptop, poured a glass of wine, and looked around the half-empty apartment. Every box was sealed, every account closed, every goodbye spoken. For the first time in months, I felt light. Some people measure success in promotions or salaries. I measured mine in peace, and tomorrow I was taking mine across the Atlantic. Part 3, The Future She Built. 3 months later, London had stopped feeling like a postcard and started feeling like a plan finally working. The city hummed differently, urgent, alive, a little indifferent, in the best possible way. Every morning, I crossed the Thames to my office in Southwark, coffee in hand, knowing that no one here knew me as the girl with no future. They just knew my work, my numbers, my name. The job was challenging, demanding, occasionally exhausting, but it was mine. Every system I designed, every team I led, was proof that the future Ryan claimed I lacked had simply been waiting for me to stop asking for his permission. For a while, I didn't think about him at all, until I did. It started with a notification. Jane had tagged me in a farewell collage she'd made weeks earlier. The post had made its slow way through the algorithm and finally reached the wrong eyes. That night, Ryan resurfaced online. Vague captions, sad quotes about people who lie about who they are to make others feel small. His mother commented, "You're better off without users, honey." He replied, "Some people only reveal their true colors when success tempts them." I stared at the post for a full minute before realizing something. He still needed the story where he was the victim. He couldn't imagine a version of me that simply outgrew him. I put my phone face down and went back to reviewing a proposal for a London client. My life was too full of deadlines and new beginnings to waste on ghosts. But apparently, ghosts had plane tickets. 2 weeks later, Priya messaged me from the States. "You'll never believe who just DM'd me. Your ex, asking if you really work in London." I rolled my eyes. "Tell him it's classified." She sent a laughing emoji, but an unease settled in my chest anyway. 3 days later, I found out why. It was a gray Tuesday morning, drizzle smearing the glass doors of our building. I was heading out for lunch when security called my name. Ms. Hayes, there's someone asking for you in the lobby. I turned the corner and froze. Ryan. Suit too crisp for comfort, hair slicked, smile practiced. He looked like a man auditioning for a second chance. You moved to London, he said, as if stating it made it less real. Yes, and you followed me here. I just needed to see you, to talk. About what? The ambition you thought I didn't have? He winced. I was wrong, okay? You blindsided me. You were interviewing for months and never said a word. Why would I? You'd already decided I wasn't good enough. His voice softened. We could make it work. Long distance, or I could find something here. What are you going to find here, Ryan? A job, a visa, a sense of irony? He flinched. Don't do that. Don't make me the bad guy. You did that yourself. Security stepped closer. He noticed, straightened his shoulders, and tried for dignity he no longer had. I just thought you deserved to hear me out. I did. Last time you called it motivation. I turned away, nodding to the guard. Ryan's voice cracked behind me. You won't even give me 5 minutes? Without looking back, I said, You already had 4 years. By the time I reached the street, I could breathe again. London rain hit my face like applause. Later, I saw the online version of his collapse. Sad selfies at landmarks, captions about chasing dreams across oceans. The comments were brutal. She's not your dream, dude. She's your ex. Maybe stop stalking and start job hunting. He went home 3 weeks later, broke, embarrassed, exactly where he chose to be. Meanwhile, my life kept expanding. New project, new flat, new laughter. And a man named Ethan Shaw, a pediatrician with an unhurried smile, who once said over coffee, You're the first woman I've met who's not afraid of silence. Silence built me, I said. I don't waste it anymore. We laughed, and the sound felt like clean air. Sometimes people ask about my past, how I ended up here alone at first, in a city I didn't know. I tell them the truth, that someone once told me I had no future, and I believed him just long enough to prove him wrong. One night, over dinner at a restaurant that required reservations 3 months in advance, Ethan asked, Do you ever think about him? Only when I need a reminder. Of what? That sometimes losing someone isn't failure, it's graduation. He smiled, and I realized how far I'd come, because the woman who once measured her worth through someone else's ambition was gone. The one sitting here had built her own. He said I had no future, I told Ethan, raising my glass. Turns out I just didn't have one with him.